Wait, he took all my numbers. You can go.
Oh, we're good. We're good. Go.
Okay, go. We have heard many great points from both sides argued today, and I would like to address the issue of our economy and the transparency of foreign aid. As we have said many, many times before, according to USAID, there is less than 1% of the federal budget going to foreign aid. This is about $40 billion to sustainability projects, conflict mitigation, education improvement, and healthcare services and training, among other things, not military aid. There is very little argument that the country is debt, but is 1/2 of 1% going to affect the large amount of change we need to see here? Foreign aid is essential to America as well as the countries we are helping. If we were to lose some of the relationships we have cultivated with other countries, America would also feel that negative blow. Many of these countries are essential partners to the United States government and economy. For example, USAID reports that we spend about $296 million in Kenya in Kenya. Let me clarify that this does not go to military aid, which is separate from foreign aid. Kenya is the most diversified economy in Africa and is an important economic partner for the United States. One claim that Anna made was that money would go to government pockets and holding them accountable for that money is near impossible. This is not exactly the case. Transparency of aid is a decreasing issue. Without transparency, donors, developing countries, and their citizens are not able to access the information like how much money is being provided, when it was or is due to be spent, where the money will be spent, and how the money will be spent, and what the funds are expected to achieve. There are multiple resources by which the United States and the developing countries can access this information, such as creditor reporting system, aid data, and aid information management, along with many other donors that publish reports of the aids that they give. This is not a reason to decrease foreign aid. This is a reason to amend our foreign aid policy. If there were to be no transparency, then no one would be held accountable, the donors or the government. However, the International Aid Transparency Initiative began in 2008 with the goal of increasing aid transparency across the board. According to their website, there are 22 countries who have endorsed the use of trade transparency databases, and 35 donors, organizations, and countries who use IATI, including the United States. USAID itself publishes annual reports detailing the amount of aid spent in each country, along with definitions of the categories the aid falls under, and a detailed description of who exactly benefited from the money we used. To maintain the example of Kenya, USAID sends $5.7 million to Kenya that is not simply thrown to the government's pocket. The money is used for conflict mitigation. The money created community-based reconciliation projects that reached 6.6 million people. Money was used to create public campaigns promoting peaceful resolution that reached 250,605 people, and about 2,179 people were trained in conflict mitigation and resolution, meaning that when their training was complete, our aid could be decreased in that area. Foreign aid is not a simple question of handing money to a country that has a problem. It is a global exchange of awareness, help, and education. There are great benefits for the United States being on good terms with other nations, but there is also the more global and moral ideal that the world is a community. Each citizen of each country is human and entitled to the basic human rights that we Durham, New Hampshire high school students sometimes thoughtlessly enjoy. Affirming the proposal, be it resolved that the United States Congress amend the foreign aid budget by cutting it by 50% would severely damage the global equality of life that we should all be striving towards, no matter the small differences among us.
Today, the negative side has presented arguments focusing on taking money from somewhere else in the budget instead of foreign aid, and that there are starving children in Africa who need our help. While these points seem valid on paper, as we dig deeper into these points, we will see exactly why these points are flawed, and that is what I'll be focusing on in my rebuttal. One of the points they addressed is, why not take money from something else in the budget? The problem with that is that everything else in the budget directly benefits us, the American citizens. Homeland Security, military, education, health and human services, the list goes on. This quote was taken directly from the Department of Homeland Security website. The Department of Homeland Security has a vital mission: to secure the nation, our nation. from the many threats we face. Can we really afford to cut something so vital to this country? This department prevents us from terrorist attacks, protects and secures U.S. air, land, and sea points of entry, and disrupts and cracks down on terrorist cells. This department needs all the money it has. If it is cut, who knows what crises could arise within our country. Another department is the Department of Health and Human Services. We spend a great amount of money on there. This quote was taken directly from their website. The Department of Health and Human Services is the United States government's principal agency for providing essential human services, especially for those who are least able to help themselves. This department provides us with things like Medicare, Medicaid, child support services, and smaller programs like Meals on Wheels, which provide over 1 million seniors a day with healthy meals. If this took a budget cut, small programs like the Meals on Wheels would be cut, and 1 million seniors would not be getting proper meals. This is an extremely important department to our country and our citizens, and it is something we cannot afford to cut. These are just two of the many vital programs that this nation provides us, and they are all affecting the lives of all Americans in this great country. Every other program that is set up in our budget helps American citizens get through with everyday life. The only program in our budget that doesn't provide to America is foreign aid. Therefore, we cannot make budget changes to other places instead of foreign aid. Another point the opposing side has brought up is that there are poor, starving children in other countries that can't help themselves, so we need to give them all the help we can. The truth is, there are poor, starving children that live in our country that also can't help themselves. If we cut foreign aid, we can help both, those children and our children. Half of the money will go to economic foreign aid, and the other half of the money could go to things like helping people in poverty in America. We need to help the people in America who are American citizens before we help people in other countries. In Deanna's speech, she said that if we were a country in need, other countries would help us. What about Hurricane Sandy and Hurricane Katrina? What countries gave us help then in those natural disasters? And also, Jeff's point about the 750,000 soccer field in Guantanamo Bay, that is absolutely nothing compared to our budget. So that's really just not a valid point at all. Jeff.
You can ditch it.
I cannot stress it enough. We only want to cut half of the foreign economic aid, not all of it. That way, it can benefit both us and other countries. We are just trimming the fat off the steak, cutting out all the unnecessary parts and leaving the nice, juicy stuff.
You just lost. You kidding?
It's not a secret.
Can I go to the bathroom now?
You want the orange? That's a win.
Oh, we were laughing at your orange.